The whole business of casting, putting it together, taking something almost 3 years, the whole time.
Hollywood has always been a place where stars are made and destroyed, but in 1943, one woman did something no actress had ever dared to do. She looked the most powerful studio in the world straight in the eye and said no, at a time when contracts were treated like chains. Olivia de Havilland refused to be owned, refused to be controlled, refused to smile politely while men decided her entire future. And when Warner Brothers tried to punish her, she didn't beg, she didn't cry, she didn't play the good girl role they had written for her. Instead, she went to court. And what happened next shook Hollywood so badly that studios quietly began rewriting their rules overnight. But here's the part nobody talks about, because Olivia wasn't just fighting for better roles. She wasn't just fighting for her freedom. She was hiding secrets that could have ruined her spotless reputation forever. A bitter feud with her own sister that lasted decades. A romance with one of the most dangerous men in Hollywood history. And private heartbreaks so painful, she rarely spoke of them even in old age. For decades, the world saw Olivia as the graceful, elegant good girl of classic cinema. But behind closed doors, she was far more complicated, more ruthless, more powerful, and maybe more broken than anyone ever realized. Today, we're uncovering the real story of Olivia de Havilland, the woman who outsmarted Hollywood, survived betrayal, and rewrote the rules for every actor who came after her. And trust me, by the time you hear what happened between her and her own sister, you'll understand why this family drama became one of the darkest rivalries in movie history. Olivia de Havilland's story didn't begin under bright Hollywood lights. It began far away in Tokyo, Japan. Born on July 1st, 1916, Olivia grew up in a world of contrasts. Outside her home were temples, lanterns, and cherry blossoms. Inside, her family tried desperately to keep their British identity alive. Tea rituals, English songs, and strict manners. But even in those early years, Olivia's life was quietly falling apart. Her father, Walter de Havilland, was intelligent and respected, a professor, a patent attorney, a man who appeared perfect in public. But rumors followed him like a shadow, whispers of infidelity, a marriage cracking at the seams, a household filled with silent tension. And then came the moment that changed everything. Walter suggested sending Olivia away to live with a Japanese family, to learn the culture. To Olivia's mother, Lillian, it felt like a betrayal, like a threat, like a plan to take her daughter away. So Lillian made a decision that would reshape their entire destiny. She secretly packed her belongings, gathered Olivia and her baby sister Joan, and fled Japan. No warning, no goodbye, no second chances, just a ship bound for San Francisco and a broken family left behind. But California wasn't a fresh start. Not really. It was survival. Lillian became a single mother overnight, struggling to raise the girls while battling her own fears and heartbreak. And in that small town near San Francisco, Olivia learned something that would define her entire life. When the world tries to control you, you either surrender or you fight. And Olivia, even as a child, was already learning how to fight. In California, Olivia wasn't living a glamorous childhood. She was living a quiet battle. Her sister Joan was often sick, money was tight, and their mother Lillian, once an actress herself, was forced to rebuild everything from nothing. But Lillian did something clever. She began teaching drama classes, using the skills she once sacrificed for motherhood. And Olivia watched closely. She watched the way her mother's voice could command a room, the way emotions could be shaped into performance, the way stories could make people listen. And slowly, Olivia fell in love with acting. At school, she wasn't just a shy girl from a broken family anymore. She became someone else, someone fearless. At just 14 years old, Olivia was cast as the lead in Alice in Wonderland, and the experience was like stepping into another universe. On stage, she felt free, powerful, like she finally belonged somewhere. But there was one person determined to crush that dream. Her stepfather, George Fontaine. He believed acting was foolish, a waste of time, something that would ruin a girl's reputation. And he gave Olivia an ultimatum: quit acting or leave the house. Most teenagers would have folded. Most would have begged. But Olivia made a decision that revealed the fire inside her. She left. She moved in with family, friends, and kept acting anyway. And that moment is important because it showed something rare. Olivia didn't need permission. She didn't need approval. She was already building the mindset that would one day terrify Warner Brothers, because Olivia de Havilland wasn't the kind of woman who stayed quiet when someone tried to control her. And soon, fate would place her in front of the exact right person. A man who would open the gates of Hollywood. And once Olivia stepped through, she would never be the same again. By 18, Olivia's talent was undeniable. She was cast as Hermia in a local production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. And she poured everything into the role, but she had no idea that someone in the audience was watching her like a hawk. Not a fan. Not a friend, a talent scout. The scout worked for legendary director Max Reinhardt, who was searching for new faces for a massive Hollywood bowl production. And Olivia, she was offered a position as the second understudy, not the star, not even the backup. Just the backup to the backup. Most actresses would have been disappointed, but Olivia took it because she understood something early in entertainment. One small door can lead to a lifetime of power. And then the impossible happened. 1 week before the premiere, the lead actress dropped out. Then the first understudy dropped out. Suddenly, Olivia wasn't the understudy, she was the star. And on September 15, 1934, she stepped onto that stage and delivered a performance so strong that Reinhardt was stunned. He didn't just applaud her, he took her with him. Soon after, Reinhardt landed a deal with Warner Brothers to direct the film version of the play. And when casting began, he chose Olivia, but Olivia hesitated. Her dream wasn't Hollywood. It was teaching, a simple life, a stable future. But Reinhardt and the studio pushed hard, and at only $200 a week, Olivia signed a 5-year contract. She didn't realize it yet, but that signature was the beginning of a war. A war between a young actress who wanted freedom and a studio system that treated stars like property. When Olivia arrived in Hollywood, she was nervous, awkward, and inexperienced. Her screen tests were disasters. Her dress didn't fit. Her accent was too soft. The studio tried to reshape her into something she wasn't, but Reinhardt protected her, and in 1935, Olivia finally appeared in A Midsummer Night's Dream. The film was huge, expensive, and glamorous. Yet Olivia felt like an outsider at her own premiere. She even tripped on her dress on the red carpet, and still, critics praised her. Hollywood noticed. But her real explosion came when she was paired with a rising actor named Errol Flynn. In Captain Blood, Olivia was 19, Flynn was 26. And their chemistry wasn't just good, it was electric. Audiences couldn't stop watching them. They looked like the perfect fantasy couple, beautiful, daring, and romantic. But behind the scenes, their connection was complicated. Olivia later admitted she had a crush on Flynn, but he was married. So whatever feelings existed stayed buried under professionalism, or at least, that's what the public was told. Because Hollywood didn't sell truth, Hollywood sold fantasy. And Olivia and Flynn became Warner Brothers' favorite fantasy. Over the next 6 years, they starred in 8 films together. The biggest was The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938. Technicolor, massive sets, huge success. It made millions, won awards, cemented their legendary status. But while audiences saw romance, Olivia was quietly becoming trapped, because every time she succeeded, the studio tightened its grip, and soon, she would learn the dark truth of Hollywood fame. The more valuable you become, the less freedom you're allowed to have. In 1939, a once-in-a-lifetime film was being made, Gone with the Wind, and Olivia de Havilland wanted one role more than anything, Melanie Hamilton. But Warner Brothers refused. They didn't want to loan her out. They didn't want another studio profiting from their property. And that's when Olivia made a bold move. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She went around them. She approached Jack Warner's wife and convinced her to fight for her. And somehow, it worked. Olivia landed the role, and the moment the film premiered, it became a cultural earthquake. Over $32 million at the box office, unthinkable money for that era. Suddenly, Olivia wasn't just Errol Flynn's co-star. She was a serious actress. Her performance earned her an Oscar nomination, and that nomination came with a dangerous side effect. It gave Olivia confidence. Because now she knew she wasn't just pretty. She wasn't just marketable. She was talented. And talent changes the way you see your value. Olivia began wanting deeper roles, better scripts, characters with pain and complexity. But Warner Brothers, they didn't care about her dreams. They cared about control. And the more Olivia demanded respect, the more the studio punished her. Suspensions, threats, extended contracts. Every time she refused a role, they added time to her agreement. It was a legal trap designed to keep her forever. And Olivia realized something terrifying. No matter how famous she became, She would never truly be free unless she did the unthinkable. Unless she took on the entire studio system and risked everything. By 1943, Olivia had reached her breaking point. She believed her 7-year contract was complete, but Warner Brothers claimed she still owed them months because of all the suspension time they had added. It was their favorite trick. Punish actors by suspending them, then extend their contracts, then trap them again. And Olivia was furious. Not loud furious, not messy furious, the most dangerous kind, quiet furious. She hired a lawyer who uncovered a California law stating that no personal service contract could last longer than 7 years. The law had always existed, but no actor had ever dared to use it because suing a major studio meant one thing: career suicide. Warner Brothers could blacklist you, destroy you, turn every producer against you. But Olivia didn't flinch. In August 1943, she sued Warner Brothers. The headlines exploded. The studio tried to paint her as spoiled and ungrateful, but Olivia stayed calm. When asked if she refused to work, she answered with icy elegance, "I did not refuse, I declined." And that one sentence became legendary because it proved she wasn't emotional. She was strategic. The case dragged on. Olivia couldn't work. She lived off savings and volunteered in military hospitals. Then in March 1944, the court ruled in her favor. Warner Brothers appealed, but in December 1944, the Court of Appeals upheld the decision and compared the studio system to slavery. Hollywood was stunned. And in that moment, Olivia didn't just win a lawsuit. She cracked open the chains of an entire industry. And from that day forward, every actor in America owed their freedom to Olivia de Havilland. Olivia's lawsuit cost her 2 years of screen time. Studios expected her to fade away. They expected the audience to forget her. They expected her career to collapse. But Olivia returned with something even more dangerous than fame. She returned with respect. In 1946, she starred into Each His Own, playing a woman who gives up her child, builds a life, and lives with the haunting weight of regret. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't sweet. It was raw. And Olivia gave a performance so emotional that audiences were shaken. When she won her first Oscar in 1947, it felt like a victory not just for her, but for every actor who had ever been treated like a puppet. Then came The Snake Pit in 1948. Olivia played a woman trapped in a psychiatric hospital. And she didn't treat it like a role. She treated it like a mission. She visited mental hospitals, studied patients, even experienced simulated electroshock therapy. The film shocked America. And it didn't just win awards, it changed laws. 13 states reformed mental health care after public outrage. But Olivia wasn't done. In 1949, she starred in The Heiress, transforming herself physically and emotionally. She gained weight, styled herself plain, became awkward, shy, wounded, and in 1950, she won her second Oscar. At that point, Olivia had proven the truth. She wasn't a studio-made princess. She was a force. And Hollywood had no choice but to respect her. Yet, the most brutal battle of her life wasn't in court. It wasn't on screen. It was in her own bloodline. Because her sister Joan Fontaine was waiting. And their feud would become legendary. Olivia and Joan Fontaine weren't just sisters. They were rivals from the moment they could walk, born only 15 months apart. The two girls were constantly compared. Olivia was labeled the pretty one. Joan was labeled the smart one. And those labels became poison. Their stepfather fueled the tension, turning their home into a battlefield of attention and approval. The fights were vicious. Rumors claimed Olivia once pushed Joan into a pool, breaking her collarbone. Joan later admitted she had dark thoughts of revenge. And as they grew older, the rivalry only became sharper. Both wanted acting careers, but their mother insisted only one could pursue it professionally. Olivia, being older, went first. Joan followed, desperate to prove she was just as talented. Then Hollywood poured gasoline on the fire. Olivia became a star in Gone with the Wind. Joan landed the lead in Hitchcock's Rebecca role. Olivia reportedly wanted, and then came the moment that shattered any hope of sisterly peace. The 1940 Oscars, both sisters were nominated. Olivia for Hold Back the Dawn, Joan for Suspicion. When Joan won, the tension was unbearable. Some claim Olivia refused to congratulate her. Others claim Joan rejected Olivia's attempts to make peace. But what's undeniable is this: from that night forward, their feud became public entertainment. In interviews, Joan threw cruel jabs. She once said, "I married first, won the Oscar before Olivia did, and if I die first, she'll be mad because I beat her to it." And the most shocking moment, in 1947, when Olivia won her Oscar, Joan reached out to congratulate her, and Olivia turned away, caught on camera, immortalized forever. It wasn't just a feud anymore. It was war, and the war would last until the end of their lives. Olivia's love life was just as dramatic as her career. In 1939, she caught the attention of billionaire Howard Hughes. He was obsessed. He gave her expensive gifts, including a massive emerald ring. But Olivia soon realized Hughes wasn't romantic. He was controlling. She believed he spied on her, that he tapped her phone, and when he blamed her for a car accident, saying it happened because she wouldn't go to the dentist. With him, Olivia finally snapped. She marched into his hospital room and returned every gift, including the ring. It was one of the boldest rejections in Hollywood history. Later, Olivia married Marcus Goodrich, a journalist with a temper. It didn't last. The marriage became suffocating, and Olivia filed for divorce, describing mental cruelty. But the greatest tragedy of her personal life was her son, Benjamin. When he became ill, Olivia fought desperately to save him, and when he died in 1991, she called it the worst pain she had ever known. Later, she found peace in Paris after marrying Pierre Galante. Paris became her sanctuary, far away from Hollywood gossip. But even at 101 years old, Olivia still had fight left. In 2017, she sued FX over the series feud, claiming they portrayed her unfairly. She lost, but the message was clear. Olivia de Havilland never stopped defending her name. When she passed away in 2020 at 104 years old, the world didn't just lose an actress. It lost a symbol, the woman who broke the studio system, the woman who proved that grace can be powerful, but rebellion can be legendary. And in the end, Olivia didn't just survive Hollywood, she outlived it.